Hi guys, I hope everyone is fine. We're coming to the end of the year, and I just felt I should share some of the, uh, or rather, the process of registration as a internationally qualified nurse to New Zealand, because some of us who may have these thoughts, or you may want to start the process as one of your New Year's resolution, and it's doable. You can actually start in December. We still have a few days to the close of the year. You can start in December, and by next year, December, you could be in New Zealand. Who knows? So the process is not as long as it some of us would think. But I know right now the process is taking longer because they're in transitioning phase from the old system to the new system. But why not just try and see how far your application is going to go through? So I'd shared a while back about the requirements of being of requirements for you to qualify to be registered as a registered nurse in New Zealand. And today I would want to start us off with step one of the process, which is a verification of your documentation. Nursing Council of New Zealand has recently changed the process of registration for internationally qualified nurses. And there are two major changes that they're putting in place. One of the major changes is that there's going now to be an online examination, like more so like NCLEX, but it is yet to be verified how it's going to be. So there's information going around that it's going to be the same exam as those who are currently being trained as registered nurses in New Zealand. So the same exam, what they call the board exam, that the final board exam that they're going to sit for, would be the same exam that the internationally qualified nurses would be subjected to. So there's still no clarification of the same. Nursing Council is still putting their house in order for the transitioning phase. They say the transition may take even up to 2025. So as at now, we cannot comment on how the process is because it is not yet been rolled out. But those whose documentation was submitted to the council from 4th December are the first batch or the first lot that are going to be subjected to this registration process. And maybe after that, we can review how it is, the good side of it, the challenges, and the negative side of it. And I'm sure the process is going to be improved as days go by. The second change is that there's going to be an OSCE, 3-hour OSCE, to a station that they are yet to communicate. So the OSCE will be conducted here in New Zealand, but the theoretical exam, it can be done in New Zealand or overseas. They're yet to say which country this or countries that these theoretical exams are going to be offered. I think that they're going to be online. So I think you can even sit for it at your home country. So depending on how they're going to lay it out, we are yet to see how it's going to be rolled out. So those are big changes that are going to come in 2024. For the OSCE, before you sit for the OSCE, there's going to be 2 days preparation and induction to the OSCE. So I don't really think it's something to be scared of, especially if you've a nurse who's been practicing. You can, of course, prepare up for yourself for the OSCE, and it shouldn't be as worrisome for some of us who may think it's going to be tougher than how it is. We are yet to see how it's going to be. So those are the two major changes that have happened, or they're going to happen in the new registration process. The third change is for enrolled nurses. Of course, they're yet to go through the process of the registered nurses, and they will communicate, as they say, the process or pathway for the enrolled nurse. So, having said that, I'm going to take us through the CGFNS process, which is the first step of verification of documentation. Something else I need to point out, the CGFNS is the same body that verifies documentation for those who may want to practice in the United States of America, but now the portal is different. So you cannot use the report from US accreditation for New Zealand verification. So it's very much different. So I need us to be aware. I've heard of people who've made that confusion. They went through the portal for USA, yet they intended it to be for New Zealand, or they went through the portal for US. Then midway they thought about, why not try New Zealand? Can I use the same? No, you cannot use the same. It's independent. The reason is because the requirements are slightly different. So that's why they cannot use the same channel or the same report for United States of America for that of New Zealand. And I think the same is vice versa for New Zealand to United States of America, unless you're already registered. So I really don't know what the process is from New Zealand to United States of America. I only know the New Zealand process because I've personally gone through it. So I will quickly take us through the portal. Of course, that is CGFNS. So for those of us who've okay. Oh, I don't know if I can close this. Yeah, sure. So for those of us who started the process, this is how the portal looks like, the CGFNS one for New Zealand. And you can actually see this CVS NC and Z. That is important so that you don't proceed with the wrong portal. And then, of course, it says there, as of 4th December 2023, the Nursing Council of New Zealand has changed the competence assessment requirements for internationally qualified nurses. So I shared more on this in my last video. So feel free to go back and check on that. If you have more time, you can click on learn more and see what are these new changes. If there are questions, if there are clarifications we need, I'm able to share with you to the best of my knowledge because I've gone through the process. So I would give you information based on my process of what I went through. And of course, there are more information there about the whole CGFNS process. Again, for this internationally qualified nurse, Australian nurses are exempted because there's what they call Transman agreement. So if you're registered in New Zealand, you can quickly just transfer your registration to Australia and vice versa. So this is with the exception of Australian registered nurses. But for those who are practicing or you have lessons from any other country apart from Australia, then this definitely should be your first step. Yeah, so once you've done that, then you go further down. You can take your time and just go through. Like I said, the requirements are there. I had shared previously, but if you need further clarification or information, please feel free to come down and see uh, what is expected. So we have identification of documents that has to do with your passport and national ID or your driver's license, your employment history, your educational history, license and language. So I don't want to go into details because I already shared and did that. Further down, it says the cost is 300 American dollars or US dollars. That's for verification only. But now when you send your documentation to the Nursing Council of New Zealand, it gets to $485. Further down is a link of further information that you may need to go through if you need, well, further information. So we begin our application. Now, because I already have an account, I will try to use my account but change the details there, what I'm able to change, so that just to as a guide. Because if I create a new, I wouldn't want to have another account for CGFNS because I already have one. So I'm going to use my account, but only for educational purposes. So the information out there, it's not really personal, but it's just to help us understand and just to guide us through on what is expected of you so that it becomes easy, especially for those of us who are doing for the first time and there's no support system for you. If you go through this with me, then it's going to be easier for you. And now you can maybe further ask questions based on what you are experiencing. But now, if you're doing it for the first time, then you need to create an account. So as it says, new users, get started here. So that's why you click. Sometimes you may create an account and not finish and you want to come back later. So long as you've created an account And just to mention, you will always have one same account all through. So you're returning user, you click here continue to log in. That's the reason why I wouldn't want to create another account, because they create a specific application number. So if you such that you cannot create more than one account for one applicant. So allow me just to use my account for learning purposes, as I'd mentioned. So here I will just indicate my username is my email. Then I quickly put in my password. There we go. So you're doing it for the first time. The first step, as indicated there, you will need to click on the service selector. So sorry, it's down here. So when you click on the service selector, it's going to allow you to choose the service that you need. The reason is for them to be able to create like an applications forms or series of forms, or what is required of you, you must select and what it is that you want the service for. So the first one is licensure with the Nursing Council of New Zealand, specialty certification with BCEN, that is certification of emergency nursing, or certification for global nurse consultant. So for our purposes is licensure with the Nursing Council of New Zealand. So you click on that and you click submit. So once you do that, they will populate what is expected of you, uh, so that they'll be able to verify your documentation, and all the things and that they will require from you will be populated. Now, I'll not do that because it's mine, it's already populated, so it's easier. So whatever you are seeing, you're going to see, especially my profile, it's because it's a service that had already been offered, so that's why it is there. So and you can be able to see step one is already blue because I had selected it before and there was a process to that. But yours, it should be blank. It should be, this is cream or white, just like step two and three, because you've not started the process. Now, once you do that, then you come to step two, which is my profile. You've already selected, so it will automatically just populate. So, of course, what they require there is your personal information. And now you need to be very keen and careful at this point, because this information that you're going to give is what will be which will be part of your report, which will be sent to the Nursing Council of New Zealand. So we just need to be careful on that, so that you're able to give the right information and you don't have issues with your documentation process. Yeah, so that is what you have: your personal information, your email, your the title, if you have any title, your date of birth. Those are very keen. And again, it's important. Sometimes you should even have your passport with you, so that your names, as you indicate there, should be the same name as indicated either on your passport and your driver's license, or your passport and your national ID, because that's what's required. You remember, there's one of the requirement was identification documentation. It starts from here, so that they're going to verify, is the personal information given same as the identity document. So you, once you fill that in, you're going to click on you submit. Once you submit, it takes you to the next step. So your next step is contact information. For me, like I said, uh, I'm just guiding us because already it was done. So it's easy for me to do this for you. So your contact information, that is your email addresses and your postal addresses, all that is required, and then you click on submit, inclusive of your phone number. Then once you do that, identity documents. So for here, identity documents, you need to give information based on the identity documents that you're going to provide. Either, like I said, your passport must be one of them, so your passport and your driver's license, or your passport and your national ID. So in this case, it was my passport and my national ID what I provided. So all the documentation, be very careful. The names, when they're expiring, the actual number, just be very careful, because those are what could either delay your process, or you're told that you've stolen an identity and yet this are really your documentation. And then you click on submit. Once you do that, then the next one, you come to your education history. So for education history, mostly they require where you trade for your bachelor's program. If you've had more than one training, that basically they need the training that led you to be trained as a nurse. So in this case, you can start with your basic primary, which is like I'm giving example, like in Kenya, we have the primary school, the high school, and your campus or university. Now, you, as much as you feel primary and secondary, it will not have an effect on your final what do I say, your final report. They will only need the institution that will train you or that trained you for you to get your training as a registered nurse. So it is good to give that education history on the lower level of training, but what is very important is what at the university level. Why that is very important is because your university will need to verify. They will need to, because like I need to also mention here, all this information that you're giving, CGFNS are going to send you forms that you will send to all these places for them to be able to fill out and send to CGFNS directly. So in this case, my institution was Kenyatta University. Uh, and that is as much as there's the primary and there's high school, but they provided me with forms for Kenyatta University. Now the form was already filled up, the details of Kenyatta University, and I had to take it to them. They fill it up and send directly to CGFNS. So you also need to be very careful uh, with the information that you give. If you are trained in more than one institution, um, you may well you need to put that down, but again this will also delay your process because you will need to go to the both institutions for them to be able to send back to the to the CGFNS. So that is important, your education history. And then your employment history, remember we said you must have your 2 years clinical uh, history for the last 5 years. So with the new changes is that they only require 1 year clinical experience for the last 5 years. So if you're newly what do I say? If you're newly qualified and you have your experience for 1 year, you can as well start the process. Or maybe you've been a registered nurse for a long time, but you are outside clinical practice for some time, and if you just have 1 year, then that you'll be good to go to be able to provide that. Again, all the information is required there. You click on submit. That is important because they will also send you forms to give it to your employer so that they fill it up. It would be filled by either your supervisor or your HR, and they will send it to the nursing council. Then the other details there, your licensure and exam history. So, for instance, like me, I was registered in by Nursing Council of Kenya. I will need to fill the details. Then I'll get forms by the Nursing Council of Kenya. Others less registration confirmation. So for some countries, this is both at the same, is more or less the same. So you whatever information, all this will be captured in your the forms that they will send to you. So the council will be able to know what is required and they will send the information back to CGFNS. Then your license and registration, they will need your license number, date of expiry, how often do you renew your license. They will also need to find out if it is valid. Yeah, so that is required. If there's any continuous education you've done, any certification that you require, a language proficiency in this case is either IELTS and or OET. So I will not go into the details because I'd already shared uh, with an example of OET because that's what I did. And then once you've done that, then they will need you to OET, for instance, will send
results directly to CGFNS. I'm sure the same would be with IELTS. They will send directly to CGFNS. Now, I need to mention this. You can start this process without your English proficiency results. I've done that from my own experience. I'd not sat for the OET, but I'd started the process. So they will not need English at this point. So what you do, you can leave it blank, finish with your profile, send it, pay and send to CGFNS. And in that process, you can be reviewing or preparing for the English exam so that by the time that's a trick maybe we should share with us that will help you to manage time. So what happens is that I'll give you my experience so that you may use that as an experience to help you shorten the time period. So I created an account, created my profile, filled up everything, but had not done English. So what I did, I submitted all the requirements that they need for CGFNS. And now, while at the same time, I was reading for OET. So that by the time the CGFNS are getting my application and they will send back the forms. So as I'm revising or I'm preparing for OET, at the same time, I took my forms to Kenyatta University for them to prepare it. I took my forms to Nursing Council. I took my forms to my employer so that now, by the time all these forms were ready and were sent to CGFNS, I was already due for my English exam. So by the time CGFNS are receiving all the reports from the school, from the employer, from um, Nursing Council, I had sat for my OET and the results were out. Because what happens is that once the results are out, you just request your provider to populate or send the results to CGFNS and it really doesn't take time. So that really helped me to save time as opposed to waiting until I did the exam so that I start the process. So I did all these things simultaneously and by the time I was done, I think within 2 months. I was done within 2 months. So by the time CGFNS are getting everything from all these people, I already had my results. So that's a trick that I used and it seemed to have saved me a lot of time. So you can as well do that. So don't be worried if you don't have an English results. You can skip that for now. And of course, your professional information. If I click on professional information, yeah. So what is it that is applying to you? So in this case, you're a registered nurse, so you look for that, and then there it's already locked. It's a registered nurse. So once you finish, you go to your shopping cart. So once you go to your shopping cart, then you pay for the application, and it's as easy and as simple as that. So with that, that's the first process for CGFNS. And once you're done, you pay. Um, so already it shows that my application is paid because, like I said, I'd already done. So this is how your shopping, like the way you buy stuff online, that's how it appears. So you will get your application in your shopping cart, then you pay the 300 USD. Once you've paid, then that is it. You'll get an email confirmation that payment has been made. Then I think it comes after 3 days. Payment has been made, and they will populate now your profile. So they will populate your account with all the forms that you need from all these people that you submitted your details to. So basically, guys, that is it. And I think with that you have a glimpse and it would be easier for you to start it by yourself. But if you have questions, I'll be very able to answer based on my own process, and I'll be happy to take you through what is required of you. So I think without further ado, I think that is it. So that is our step one. So once you've paid, you get your forms. Now you start submitting the forms to the various uh, people that need to fill out your details, and then you submit them to the so step one we finished. Is that step two? You take it to the relevant institutions. But now your identity documents, you look for a lawyer for notarization, so they notarize for you your ID and your passport, and then you upload them on the portal. So that is very easy. Immediately you've done, you upload it, then that is done. And then the others. So it's as easy as that. So that is your step one. Once you finish with CGFNS, give them time. They'll give you a report. Once they are through, they will send you an email. Check your portal for report. Once you check your portal for report, and you agree with the report, then you click yes, you say yes, then they will send it to the nursing council. Once they send it to the nursing council, now that becomes your step two. So I'll see if it is possible to share with us the step two. But if you want me to share with you, let me know if you want me to take you through the step two process of application. But usually the CGFNS is always the hardest. Step two is very straightforward. I don't think there's really much about that. So step one is always the hardest. Step two is the nursing council. Once they receive your report, they will send you an email and direct you to a portal, IQN portal. You create an account, you will find your report there, and now you continue with the process. Then you wait again for their final report. Some of us, depending with the country that you trained and practice, you'll be required to do the CAP program. Like as at now, I did mine CAP program for 6 weeks. 4 weeks I did 2 weeks theory and 4 weeks clinical placement. Now they're having the transition or changing to the theoretical exam and OSCE. So those will be just the differences. I'm not sure what will happen to the CAP schools. Maybe they'll be used as the exam centers. Who knows? But guys, I wish you all the best in this process. May God bless you. And yeah, just be positive. The journey is not easy, but with God's help and with determination, you will face obstacles, but just overlook those obstacles and may your eyes be on the ball. And yeah, I wish you all the best. I'm just here to support you to the best of my ability and support you based on my own experiences. So guys, all the best and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. May your dreams come true. May you have resolutions of coming to New Zealand. It's a lovely country. People are very friendly and I like it here. So, bye. Merry Christmas.